right, welcome everybody. We are here to learn about the Chodesh of Adar, and we are so blessed that today is actually Rosh Chodesh, and we don't usually get this opportunity to learn on the actual day of Rosh Chodesh, so today is such a tremendous celebration. We're welcoming in a month of pure joy, and today is a Yom Tov. It's a special Yom Tov for women in particular, and not only is every Rosh Chodesh a particular celebration for women, Adar is even more so related to female energy, and we're going to discuss that. So today is really our Chag, and what better way to celebrate it than together learning about the upcoming month. This month, and before we start talking about the particulars of the month of Adar, I want to talk a little bit about where we are in the year. As for those of you who have been coming regularly to the Rosh Chodesh classes or occasionally to the Rosh Chodesh classes, you know that there is a sequence there's a sequential process that occurs throughout the months of the year. And as we go through each month, we are evolving and progressing and growing. Each particular month's energy affords us a new opportunity for growth and to do a tikkun on another aspect of ourself, our relationships, the world around us. And God willing, by the time we complete each cycle, we will have gone through all the necessary stages of growth to get us to an even deeper and higher level of understanding and maturity. So, in the progression of the months, the month of Adar is the final month. So this month we are wrapping up the year and preparing to begin anew. So I want to take a minute to discuss this idea of wrapping up and finishing. And it's something we've spoken about in the past, but I feel like it's a really important, I know it speaks to me very strongly, and I think it's part of the human experience, is that it's very easy to begin something. There's a lot of creativity and inspiration and a clarity of vision and purpose when we get started on a new project. And when it comes time to wrap things up and to finish, that's the slog. That's where we really have to muster up incredible confidence and energy to get through and to really finish things up properly. And we know in Judaism that we're very careful to recognize closure, to deal with closure, and to mark the closing of one thing before we begin another. And you can never really start something new unless you've finished up properly with the old. Otherwise, you're always carrying around some baggage from unfinished business. If we really want to start fresh in the month of Nisan and be rebirthed with the new year, we need to finish up strong. And this is really an avoda. This is a real tikkun. This is a job for us to finish strong. There's a famous story of Rebbetzin Rochie, who was a grandson of the very well-known Rabbi Akiva Rochie, who was part of this very well-known, prominent family in the tradition of the Misnagdim, who were the sort of anti-Hasidim, the Litvak tradition, which is very, or more Hasidically challenged, we'll say. So he came from this family of very well-known scholars in the Litvish tradition, and they were very anti-Hasidic tradition. And he left his home, left his family's tradition, and went to study in Kutsk with the Hasidim. This was a huge departure. It's like, I don't know, one of us picking up and going, becoming Hare Krishna. I don't know. For them, it was really unspeakable, awful. So they were really upset with him. He went for a number of years to study with the Chassidim. And when he came home, his father said to him, so Nu, what was so amazing that you had to get from the Chassidim that you couldn't get by us, that you had to travel all the way to Kutsk and leave our tradition and learn with the Chassidim? And he answered 3 simple words. What did I learn in all my years in Kutsk? Bereshis bara Elokim. The first words of the Torah that every child learns in school. In the beginning, Hashem created. But he said in Kutsk, we learned it differently. In Kutsk, we learned Bereshis bara Elokim. Elokim creates beginnings. Elokim creates Reshis. All beginnings are a gift. They're gifted to us. That clarity, that motivation, that confidence, that feeling of we can do this and we know exactly what our purpose is, and the excitement, that's a gift. That's a gift from Hashem. Finishing, that has to come from us. That has to come from within. And that's a really important teaching that we need to take to heart in our lives, and especially as we wrap up this process of the year. We've been so great. Think about the last 6 months, all the work we've done, Tishrei, all that work of Elul and Tishrei, and then Cheshvan, we spoke about going inward and starting to self-generate as the weather gets colder. Kislev is a time when it gets really dark and we have to find the light within ourselves, and we start re-entering society slowly with Hanukkah. In Tevet and Shvat, we dealt with relationships. In Tevet, we dealt with our relationships with others, and in particular, our most intimate relationships. In Shvat, we dealt with our relationships with food. And so throughout this year, we've been doing so much work. And now we're coming to Adar, and we need to finish strong. Let's not just hunker down and be like, let's wait for this to be over with so we can get to Nisan energy, where we're just like a big gift. Nisan is just perfect flow. The gift of creation and rebirth is given to us. But in order to really fully experience that, we need to work through Adar first. So what is the work of Adar? How are we going to finish strong? Adar is, as we know, Mishenichnas Adar Marbim Besimcha. As we enter Adar, we increase in joy, and the energy of Adar is the energy of joy, which seems like it would be an easy one, right? Be happy, it's easy. But as we know, this is an avoda, this is a tikkun, to be happy. The klipa, the shadow side, the other side of this month, is the energy of doubt and uncertainty. And our sages tell us, En simcha kehataras hasvekas. There is no joy as the resolution of doubt. So that when we come to a place where we can feel confident and secure and not be in a place of doubt and insecurity, this is a place where we can experience the truest form of joy. So in the beginning of class, when we were all settling in, there were some people mentioning this idea of FOMO. And in thinking about joy and how do we achieve joy, and it is an avoda to achieve joy, I was thinking about this as I'm getting ready, for this class and preparing this information. And what is it that holds us back from feeling joy at every moment? I mean, we're so blessed. We have so much to be grateful for. Each and every one of us. I mean, look, we're all here today, strong, healthy, able to eat and enjoy life. The weather's beautiful. We live in the most prosperous country, and we are able to do so much. No time in history have we had the opportunities that we have at this moment. And not only do we live in the most free country, we are the Jewish people, and we're gifted with so much privilege and awesome responsibility and so much to do in this world. We should be dancing with joy at every moment. But we're not. Sometimes we're sad. And as a matter of fact, these days in America, one of the greatest challenges is depression. And this is a challenge that's occurring in the wealthiest, most successful segment of the population, where people who really have everything to be grateful for and joyous are experiencing depression. It's a real thing. There's a lot of sadness, and it's a struggle that we deal with. So we need to figure out, how do we find joy and what is holding us back? And as we mentioned, so last week, as I'm thinking about this, and of course everything that happens in our lives happens exactly at the right time, at the right moment, and is teaching us the lesson we need to learn right then. So as I'm thinking about what is it that holds us back from being in a state of pure joy all the time, I have a phone call with a woman who has been studying with me for a while, and she is abroad for the year studying in a program. And we have a standing phone date to study once a week. And I'm speaking to her, and she is part of a fabulous program. I'm not going to say her name or location. She may listen to this recording, because I know she wants me to send her the recording. So I hope she'll forgive me for using this. But really, I feel like our conversation was such a gift, because it gave me that exactly realization of something that's holding us back. So in our conversation, she's telling me, I don't know what's wrong. I am part of this most incredible program. I'm living in this exotic country for the year. Everything is so incredible. I'm making such great connections, meeting amazing people. There is so much opportunity. Every moment, she said, I don't feel like I can stop for a minute, because there's always something that I could be doing. She said, at any given moment, there are 10 lectures or activities or programs that I could be a part of, and I need to be making these decisions all the time, which thing I'm going to go to, which means that I'm not going to the other things, right? Sounds familiar? And she said, I'm sitting in a lecture, and it's great, but all I'm thinking about is the 9 other things that are going on at this moment that I didn't sign up for, and thinking maybe I should have been there. And then when I'm touring this incredible temple and seeing this amazing historical, archaeological, whatever, and I'm thinking, oh, I could be somewhere else right now. Is this my best use of my time? And I only have 1 year here. And she said, so I'm not feeling, I should be so happy right now. And instead I'm stressed and even unhappy. So firstly, I told her, you really need to be keeping Shabbos this year, because you need to stop once a week. That's another story that we were just talking about as well. Thank God for Shabbos, because if we don't stop, it's highly stressful. We need to take a step back once a week for Shabbos. But besides for that, she's experiencing FOMO on a constant basis, and it's not allowing her to be present and fully appreciate the gift of every moment. There's a very famous study. Have you ever heard of the JAM study? One of these Harvard studies they conducted about choice. And why are people unhappy when we have more than ever before? And they did this study where in this nice high-end grocery store, they did this display of 25 different jams, every flavor, different. And they found that when they had this display of 25 incredible jams, a lot of people came to see it. Very few people were able to choose a jam to buy. And from the people who chose a jam, most of them were unhappy with their choice. Yes. And then they did the same exact thing, but they only put 5 jams out. And they found that when they only put 5 jams out, people were able to make a choice much easier, and they were really satisfied with their choice. And it really gives us some good insight into what happens when we're faced with too many choices and we're divided. And really, what is this idea that the greatest joy is with the resolution of doubt? This idea that in order to feel joy at any given moment, we need to be fully present in that particular moment. And if we really take a moment to think about when is the last time that we felt really happy. And I'm not talking about fun, because fun and joy could go together, but actually sometimes fun can be the klipa of joy, and it can lead us into depression when it's empty fun. So not fun, not when's the last time you were having a great time. When's the last time you felt a sense of calm joy? And if you think about it, it wasn't necessarily at your best friend's wedding or at your own wedding or at this high moment of life. It could be at those moments that we feel pure joy, and that's incredible. Sometimes it's just a moment when everything seems to align itself. Just at that moment, the sun is shining just a certain way, your coffee's just right, you woke up on time and you got stuff done that you feel accomplished, you feel like you're growing, you feel like you're in the right place, you feel like everything is aligning itself. And at that moment, you're joyful. So, seeking joy. And why is it so important for us to feel joyful? This whole discussion of joy. What's the big deal? You know, joy is a human emotion. Sadness is also a valid emotion. Why is it so important for us that we spend the last month of the year working on feeling joy? What is it about joy that is so crucial to the human experience that we need to work on it this whole month? If you look at a child, if you look at a baby, their natural state is one of joy. Unless they're uncomfortable or something is bothering them, they want to be happy. They would like to be happy at all times. And really, our natural state of being is one of joyfulness. The word atzvut, or sadness, comes from the lashon tseva, which is to paint over, to color over. And really, when we're in a state of sadness, it's really a state in which we're coloring over our natural state of joy, where something is blocking our natural state of joy. So it's not, even though there are some people who tend towards being joyful more and some people who tend towards gravitas, but sadness is not where we want to be ever. We take our feelings very seriously in general. We tend to feel something, and then our brain will give us very good reasons why we feel that way at that time. I'm sure we've all experienced this, that it comes the end of a long day, we start thinking about our life, right? Never a good idea. When you're tired and it's been a long day, start thinking about life. Yeah, and my husband tells me, go to sleep. Because everything feels so overwhelming, and you just feel like all these things are unsolvable, and just it all starts coming in, and it feels so real. You're like, I'm really sad right now. And your brain is giving you all these reasons why you're sad. And then you go to sleep, you wake up in the morning, the sun is shining, and you're happy. And you're like, everything's doable. And nothing changed overnight. The world's problems did not solve themselves. You're the same person. Everything that was last night is still the exact same situation. And somehow, everything's okay. So in getting into this state of joy, in the pursuit of happiness as good Americans and good Jews, Abraham Lincoln said, "We are only ever as happy as we decide to be." And I feel like that is a good, I like to bring in that little thing because I think it's so, so true. We take our feelings very seriously, but very, very often, our feelings are not necessarily a reflection of what is going on in our lives. They're really more of a reflection of our physical state of being. Have you ever been hangry? Another real thing, right? You are impatient and angry and all these things, and they're real. You're really feeling that. And then you sit down and eat a good healthy meal and you're fine. But when you feel these emotions, we take them so seriously. We think that they're so real. And it's a reflection of our physical state of being. The sages tell us, Im ein kemach, ein Torah. If we don't have flour, we don't have Torah. I speak about this a lot in my challah classes, that we cannot start flying spiritually. We cannot ascend to the highest levels of dveikut, of connection, and experience our soul if our body is weighed down. We need to take care of our physical selves and make sure that we are lightened up physically, that we are well rested and well fed. And we forget as adults, when you have a parent telling you as a child, eat and put on a sweater and go to sleep on time, someone's making sure, but as we go into adulthood, sometimes we forget these very basic things, that we need to take care of ourselves physically if we want to soar spiritually. If we want our emotions and everything to be aligned and be in a positive, happy place, we need to be physically in our optimal functionality. So the first step towards lightening up at the end of the year, towards shedding all this winter hibernation and the heaviness that could occur as we go deeper into our winter hibernation and we become more introverted, this can bring along a heaviness. The first thing we need to do to feel joy is lighten up. Every month has a tribe that's associated with it. The 12 tribes, each one relates to another month. The tribe that is related to this month is the tribe of Naphtali. Naphtali, we're told, is ka'ayal shalucha, is like a running deer, a swift deer. And part of being joyful is this idea of swift movement. If you've ever seen a deer running across a field, there's like a lightness, there's a beautiful light flow to that movement that is incredible to watch. It's almost like it's floating. And that's the type of movement we're working towards in the month of Adar, is that light alacrity of movement. And when we want to do something, we're told to do things with zrizut, with alacrity. This is one of the ways in which we're supposed to serve Hashem. We're supposed to serve Hashem with joy and with zrizut, with alacrity. And what does that mean, alacrity? It doesn't mean not thinking and rushing into things. It means a certain lightness of being, a certain willingness to move. And in trying to lighten up, sometimes one of the first things we need to do to improve our mood and to be joyful is to actually move, right? We have a dance teacher here. She could tell us this. People are so much happier after they dance.
Yes, usually they are.
Yes. Unless they're really bad at it and they're feeling like they're not. But if they're allowed to express themselves and just move the way their body wants to move, we're much happier when we move. And if we sit still for too long, we actually cause ourselves to feel heavier and depression can set in. So the first step towards finding joy in our lives is lightening up. And a big part of this is also tzchok, is laughter. This is the sense that is connected with this month. Sefer Yetzirah also ascribes a sense that is connected with each month. The sense of this month is the sense of tzchok, of laughter. Tzchok numerically equals or Ein Sof. infinite light. And what laughter can accomplish is an ability to break free of our restrictions and lift us out of our, restricted smallness. Laughter shakes us up, it releases tension, and it opens us up to the possibility of everything. What makes something funny? When you tell a joke, what is it that makes a person laugh? It's that unexpected. You know, sometimes people laugh when someone falls down the stairs. Like, there are people who really get a huge kick out of seeing someone fall. And it's not cruelty. It's that unexpectedness. It's that shattering of form. It's that shattering of our expectations that could be a positive or a negative thing that could lead us to laughter. And that laughter opens us up. The Emek HaMelech says something incredible, that the entire creation of this world occurred through divine laughter. Hashem laughed, and there was this movement that occurred. You know, when we laugh and we shake and it opens up this tension, and the whole world started coming into being through this laughter. It was like this cosmic giggle that created the opening for the universe, the Emek HaMelech. So laughter can open us up in a tremendous way. We know when Sarah laughs, right? She's told she's going to have a child, and she laughs. And through that laugh, she gives birth to a son who is Yitzchak, which means laughter. Laughter is a very deep thing. Laughter can lead us to tremendous heights and to tremendous openness. There are many sages who would begin teaching in the yeshiva with a joke, because they said once everyone was laughing, they would be opened up. I spent many years in the advertising business, and one of the first rules is if you can get your audience to laugh, they're yours. The idea that laughter opens us up. It makes us open to others, to life. So this is a very important aspect of this month of finding joy. The body part that's connected to this month is the techol, which is the spleen. The Gemara tells us that the techol is related to laughter. The Arizal tells us that the techol is related, that the spleen is related to depression. And it's really interesting because, in truth, laughter has both these elements. Have you ever found that comedians tend to be very depressed people? Right? There's a real thing to this. Because there is a shadow side to laughter. There's a klipa of laughter. And that is where laughter is cynicism. That's where when laughter is laughing at everything. When nothing is sacred, nothing is grounded, and everything is a joke. And that is the klipa side of laughter. That leads to depression. So this also speaks to the idea of doubt in this month. Doubt, which can be a tremendous klipa, and also which has the holy side of holy uncertainty and doubt. We know the klipa that we experience the month of Adar is Amalek. Is anyone familiar? Amalek is a nation, and we actually read about this 2 parshas ago, or last parsha. Did we read about Amalek? The first experience of Amalek. In Mishpatim, we don't read about Amalek, but it could be the parsha before. In Yisro. About Amalek, that's right. Okay, so Amalek, well, we read about Amalek. Amalek is the first nation that started up with the Jewish people after we came out of Egypt. So what is this tremendous klipa? We come out of Egypt. We're just given this incredible gift of freedom. It was we're like newborns. We are so full of, the whole world was trembling before the Jewish nation, right? Before this, the Israelites, who Hashem loves, obviously, and just took out Bayad Chazaka with an obvious, miraculous hand. the gifts that Hashem gave us as he took us out, all the miracles that Hashem was doing for us. He split the sea. The whole world was in awe. This nation is the crown of creation. Everything is possible for this nation. And that is how we felt at that time. We sang the Shira. We were in the state of ecstasy, of just pure possibility of everything. And then along comes Amalek and fights a war and dares to start up with this fledgling, newborn, confident nation. I never really understood this idea so powerfully until this happened, and as a parent, I felt this very strong, but I'm sure we can feel this in other aspects of life as well. You know, when a child is so young and the whole world is theirs, they feel like they could do they're like just everything, like they've been cushioned and told they just believe in themselves. They have no reason not to. From the moment they've been born, they know they're perfect, right? We love them, we adore them. There's nothing wrong with them. They're perfect exactly as they should be. So this happened with my Mendel when he was 3 years old. And this really, I understood this idea. So he's 3 years old. He was on top of the world. And an innocent adult who did not mean any harm asked him what he wanted to be when he grew up, which is something a lot of adults tend to ask little children. And he answered, "I plan to be the king of the world." And he meant it. And this adult, who again I know did not mean harm, but probably had been told this all her life, said, "Oh no, you can't be that." And my heart just sunk inside me, because I said, he believes that he could be that. And why would we tell him that he can't be? That's the first Amalek that entered into his life, where someone said to him, "Oh, you can't be that." And I said, "Oh no, you can. You can be the king of the whole world." And I still believe he can. And he will. But that's when I really got this idea of Amalek. Like, what is this klipa of doubt? Amalek actually numerically equals the word suffix. Numerical value of Amalek is the same as the word suffix, which is doubt. Suffix. And this is really the essence of the klipa of Amalek, and the klipa that we need to overcome in this month is the klipa of doubt. And this is a doubt that makes us heavy and prevents us from being the fullness of who we can be. And we experience this very much in terms of finishing things. You know, we were talking about this month of Adar, we're closing up, we're finishing, wrapping up this process of our self-growth in the year. And when we start off, Bereshis bara Elokim, Hashem is giving us this incredible gift of inspiration and vision and clear vision. We know exactly what this project is and where we're going with it. And then we start getting tired and we're coming to the end, and people start saying, "Really? You're going to be the king of the world? How so?" And we start doubting ourselves. Can we really do this? It's been so long. I'm still not there yet. Is it really possible? And a little bit of Amalek starts creeping in. And that's what we have to overcome if we want to finish strong. We have to hold on to that clarity of vision and purpose that we have in the beginning of all life, in the beginning of every project, in the beginning of every attempt we make in life to grow. We need to hold on to that belief in ourselves. Think about Yom Kippur in Shul, when we're sitting in Shul and we believe in the purity of our being and we understand what we're capable of. And we get it, that we can be connected like this at all times, and we have this possibility of being tzaddikim. And then life, starts, and it gets heaviness, and things block us, and people tell us, "Oh, you're not a tzaddik. I know the real you. You really just wanna enjoy the gashmias of this world. You're not really interested in connecting in a deeper level. But there's a part of you that still knows, that still holds on to that vision of who you are and what you're capable of. And we need to reawaken that original spark and hold on to it as we finish up this year. And not allow ourselves to doubt our purpose and the vision. And the idea of doubt is really this idea of FOMO, this idea of feeling like we're in one place, but we really want to be in another. Because if we're in one place right now, we need to trust that that is where we are supposed to be at this very moment. That Hashem has put us here as part of the larger plan. And this really is the idea of the story of Purim. Purim is really what gives rise, it's sort of the matrix of Adar. The entire Adar sparkles with the light of Purim. Every moment in Adar is infused with Purim. So sometimes in a month you kind of have to work towards that Chag, and then in the middle of the month we get that energy from the Chag. Purim is infused in every moment of Adar, and the sages even tell us there are some opinions that say that we could read the Megillah any day in the month of Adar. Beginning from today, we can read the Megillah at any day because this energy of Purim is so prevalent throughout the month of Adar that we can access it. And if you read the Megillah at any moment, you're still fulfilling the mitzvah of Purim. That's how powerful the energy of Purim is present at every moment. So, what is it about the story of Purim? What is it about the energy of Purim that we want to tap into to experience joy and the elimination of doubt? You know, the story of Purim is just a story of a natural, regular story that reads like a great drama that could be on Broadway and would get, I think, rave reviews, right? I mean, one day they're going to put Megillas Esther on Broadway. It's definitely worthy drama. Yes. Some say we have him already. We have an Achashverosh. But this is the story of Esther, the story of Megillas Esther. You know, the words Megillas Esther are really the clue into the whole story. Megillah comes from the word legalot, to reveal. Esther comes from the word haster, to conceal. It is the revelation of what is normally concealed. The numerical value of the word Adar is bechesed mechusa, with concealed kindness. The whole idea of Adar is looking in the natural and finding the miraculous, understanding Hashem's plan at every moment. It is said, Hakora Megillah lemafreya ena yotze. If you read the Megillah backwards, you're not yotze. You are not fulfilling the mitzvah of reading the Megillah. Now, most people are not going to open up the Megillah and read backwards. What this means is if you look at the story of Purim and only understand it, in hindsight, you're missing the point. If we only look back at our lives and say, oh, now I understand why I was in that place at that time. I missed the train. I was so annoyed. I thought I didn't make it to that interview and my whole life was ruined. Meanwhile, I sat down in a coffee shop. I started writing something. That ended up being, who knows? But if we take our lives where we are today and we start tracing back the steps of what brought us to this beautiful moment where we are right now, we'll find that it's very often those things that we thought were things that went wrong, that weren't part of Hashem's plan as we understood it or as we wanted it to be. But those are the things indeed that brought us to this very moment. And we don't want to live our lives in hindsight. We don't want to wait till we're 80, 90, 120 years old and look back and say, oh, now I get it. It was all part of this story is beautiful. I had to be in this place in this time because everything was part of Hashem's plan. We want to live that way every moment. We want to wake up in the morning and say, Moda ani lefanecha, Rabba emunatecha, your faith in me is great that I am awake this morning, that I have something to do right now. I am in this place, in this time, at this very moment, because that is exactly where Hashem wants me to be. which is not to say that we don't have 5 jams to choose from. Thank God we have many jams to choose from, for those of you who weren't here for that part. This is not just a strange reference. We have choices, and we're making choices at every moment. But once we make a choice and we find ourselves in the place that we are, we need to recognize that that is exactly where we need to be at that moment. And even if it doesn't feel right, there's a challenge in that moment. There's a challenge right then and there that is teaching us something, that is helping us grow, that is going to be an important piece of this tapestry that is our life. And this way we live forward and present and conscious at each moment of Hashem's greater divine master plan and how we are such an integral part of it. When we can live very present and aware in each moment, we can really tap into a very deep level of joy. And this joy opens us up to very great things. Reb Aaron of Karlin, who was a student of the Maggid, used to say that being happy is not a mitzvah in and of itself, and being sad is not an avera, is not a sin. But the heights that we can achieve through being happy and the depths that we can sink to through being depressed and sad is higher than any mitzvah can take us and lower than any sin can take us. And we know this from ourselves. When you're feeling joyful, we're open, we're magnanimous, we're kind, we're generous, we're open to possibilities in life. When we're, God forbid, sad and closed off, and I'm not talking about sadness of a broken heart. Sadness of a broken heart, as Reb Nachman says, there is nothing more whole than a broken heart. And I'm not talking about pure sadness, which there is a place for in life. It's a valid emotion, and pure sadness can also open us up in a very real way, much like pure happiness can. I'm talking about a sadness that is depression, that is something which removes us from life, which makes us want to retreat into ourselves, avoid life, closes us off to the possibility of growth. Simcha, joy, comes from the word someach. It's very related to the word someach, which is growth. And when we're in a state of simcha, of joy, we are in a state of growth. And when we are growing, we are joyful. They're very related. In order for a human to feel joy, they need to be growing. We can't be stagnant, because if we're not growing, we're falling. We always need to be moving forward and growing. And that brings us to a place of joy. And being joyful brings us to a place of growth. And the openness and possibility of life, tahara, purity, which is everything that's connected to life, simcha is a part of this. So to be joyful allows us to reconnect with life, to reconnect with our deeper purpose in life, to eliminate the worries and the doubts that hold us back from achieving our fullest purpose in life. The outside voices or inside voices that we've internalized maybe from the outside voices that tell us we can't do it. Eliminating this lightens us up, allows us to feel joyful in the possibility of every moment. The sign of this month is the dag, is the fish, the Pisces. Dag also comes from the word daga, worry. And worry is a manifestation of doubt, of uncertainty. And worry is something that holds us back. And it is basically a statement of disbelief. There's a certain heresy, even, if you want to go that far, to say, in worrying. Because what you're saying is that I don't believe that this is all meant to be. Not that we're supposed to be Zen. You know, there is a level of Zen in Judaism, but There is a struggle. There's a real struggle, and we're supposed to struggle, right? There's both these elements in Yiddishkeit. We're both struggling and asking the question and accepting. And these can both coexist. When we worry, we think that by worrying, we're controlling the situation. Anyone's familiar with that feeling? Why aren't they calling? Why aren't they calling? Why aren't they calling? And that worry, we think we're actually somehow in control of the situation by being aware of the worry and being in control that way. But really, there's a tremendous, tremendous joy and relief in giving up this worry to Hashem, in holy uncertainty. So whereas the klipa of doubt is where we doubt the possibility of anything, the holy side of doubt is where we can accept the possibility of everything. It's like a state of wonder. It's like a childlike state of wonder. If you take a child into a candy store and give them a bag and say, fill this up with candies, right? Whoa, the whole world is open to me right now. Everything is possible right at this moment. He's not worried that this candy is not good for him or that's, it's like the possibility of everything. So it can be overwhelming. He might be overwhelmed at that moment by how much richness is available to him at that moment. But it's a joyful uncertainty. It's a joyful wonder. That's the holy side of uncertainty. That's where we can be open to the possibility of everything with our uncertainty. Where we can take that doubt and instead of it being, I don't know if this is possible, saying, in the realm of Or Ein Sof, in the realm of laughter, of tzchok, where we shake up everything as we know it, where we break open form, everything is possible. Why do we have to be held to this reality? If in the world of Or Ein Sof and infinite light, everything is a possibility, let's tap into that. Let's tap into the possibility of everything and see what we can manifest in our lives when we're open to such great possibilities. And this is really the joy of Purim, is the joy of going beyond the rational. We're told that on Purim we want to go to the place of Ad Lo Yada, until we don't know the difference between Haman and Mordechai. We're in such a place that it's all the same to us. And it's not a silly laughter. It's not a place of silliness. We reach this stage of tzchok and of joy through working through all the stages of joy, and we're going to go through that, all the 5 stages of joy that we can achieve, with the 5th stage of joy being the joy of Purim. So we're coming to it from a place of physical, emotional, spiritual, and intellectual joy. But then we get to a point where we can let go, where we can just let go and trust in Hashem, and trust in the possibility of everything, and trust that our lives are part of this great master plan that is all goodness and all kindness. And then we can generate those blessings in our life through that. This month is a month that is so connected with feminine energy. Every month we say we have a different permutation of the 4-letter name of Hashem, the Yud, the Hey, the Vav, and the Hey. This month is the most connected with the receiving energy. This month's sequence of the 4-letter name is Hey, Hey, Yud, Vav. So the Heys, which are the feminine aspect of the divine, the letters of receiving, those are the ones which are most connected with how the energy flows into the universe this month, which indicates that it is a very strong feminine energy this month. And this is the month in which we started moving from a place of revelation to a place of innovation. So we know that we say in the Megillah that after this story of Purim and after our victory over our enemies and this there was a rebirth in the Jewish nation, and the Jewish people accepted upon themselves the Torah. And this is an interesting use of words. We've already accepted the Torah. We just read in the Parsha, Na'aseh v'nishma, we'll do and we'll listen. We received. What happened anew now? And the sources say that this is the beginning of the oral tradition. This is the beginning of us innovating in Torah, of us taking real ownership of the Torah and finding our own voice within it. So the idea that the receivers, that we were until then the receivers of revelation, and then we became the innovators. We became the owners of this wisdom, of this information, of this revelation, and we were able to innovate on it and to find our own voice within the Torah. The woman is the concealed energy of the universe, the concealed kindness. We know even biologically, the way a woman is made, that all of our power is internal. All of our koach of procreation and creation is all hidden deep within us. And that's a sign of the feminine energy of the universe, which is an energy which is below the surface, which you have to uncover, which you need to experience to understand. And that's the incredible power before we go into the month of Nisan, in which we are experiencing a pure downward flow of energy. We are now in the most upward flow of energy possible this year, where we are the innovators and the generators, and we are finding our own voice. And through understanding our purpose and being in touch at all moments with the possibility of everything, the oneness of the universe, understanding the alignment of everything, we will be able to experience pure joy, the elimination of all doubt and FOMO, and really be able to celebrate every moment of Adar in its fullness. And this will give us the koach, the energy for joy to last us throughout the entire year, and to be our biggest, happiest, most energetic and wonderful selves this year.
Question.
So I'm just going to quickly go through the 5 stages of joy as we experience them. There are 5 times which we're told in the Torah to experience joy. They relate to the 4 letters in the name of Hashem. And then the 5th stage of joy is the joy of Purim, which relates to the crown above the Yud. Okay. So the first stage of joy, first thing that we're told to experience joy is the joy of Shabbos. This joy of Shabbos relates to the lower hay in Hashem's name. This is a very physical joy. It's a resting joy. It's that joy of having worked hard and created for 6 days, and then that release. That's the hay of Shabbos, which is connected with Malchut, nobility. We talk about the Shabbos queen. This is all related with the hay of Shabbos. And it's a very physical joy of rest. A calm, noble joy of Shabbos. The second stage of joy is we're told to be joyful in the Chagim. V'samachta b'chagecha. This relates to the Vav in Hashem's name, which is very connected with our emotional state of being. The Vav is 6. It relates to the 6 emotional sfirot. And this is an emotional joy of feeling loved and cared for by Hashem, such as when we feel joyful on Pesach, when we feel loved and cared for, and we experience Hashem's kindness and taking us out and freeing us and making us His own. The love of Shavuot, when we feel Hashem's that intimacy of the relationship and the marriage between us and Hashem. The emotions of Sukkot, when Hashem protected us in Sukkot in the desert. All of these are related to the emotional sfirot. This is the Vav. It's an emotional joy of feeling loved and cared for. The third stage of joy is the joy which we experience on Sukkot particularly, and Simchat Torah as well, which is the joy of mind, intellectual joy. We're told that we celebrate Sukkot Leman Da'at, so you will know that I protected you in Sukkot and that you sat in Sukkot in the desert. It's a level of Da'at, of knowledge. We're told 3 times to be joyful during Sukkot. Each one of those 3 times that we're told relates to a different aspect of mind. The 3 levels of mind, Chachma, Bina, Da'at, wisdom, knowledge, intuition, and knowledge. And each one of these relates to a different aspect. This is connected to the second Hey in Hashem's name. We talk about the Sukkah. The 3 walls of the Sukkah are the Hey, right? A kosher Sukkah is 2 walls plus a little bit. So that is the letter Hey. That's connected to Sukkot. That's connected to that understanding of Hashem's kindness. And that is the idea of intellectual kindness, intellectual joy. It's a joy of understanding. And anyone who's ever gotten something can get that joy, right? When we hear something and it resonates and we understand it on a very deep level, that's a very deep level of joy. The 4th letter of joy related to the Yud, the highest letter in Hashem's name, is a spiritual prophetic joy. This relates to the holiday of the intermediate days of Sukkot, when we experienced in temple times the Simchat Beit HaShoeva, which was the drawing in of the water into the temple. Our sages told us that one who never experienced that joy has never experienced joy in their life. That joy was so tremendous. And our sages tell us that the joy of the Shoeva, of the drawing in, was actually a spiritual prophetic drawing down of prophecy, that everyone who was dancing was able to experience this drawing down of prophetic energy. So it was a great joy of spiritual connection. And finally, the highest level of joy, which is above and yet encompasses all of these levels, is the level of the joy we experience on Purim, Ad Lo Yada, which is when we are Lifnei Hashem, when we are beyond Hashem. We use the same words on Purim as we use on Yom Kippur, that we are Lifnei Hashem. We are experiencing essence to essence. It's a joy that is even beyond spirituality. It's a joy where we are in our being joy, where we are one with the joy. So we're not even experiencing it as a drawing down of a spiritual prophetic energy. We ourselves become that joy. That is the joy that encompasses. We go through all these levels till we finally arrive to the place that we are experiencing the essence. And that is why we drink on Yom Kippur. No, we don't drink on Yom Kippur. Not even your dog drinks on Yom Kippur. We drink on Purim. Wow. It's really, I'm getting Yom Kippur and Kippurim. It's all getting on. It's all one right now. We drink on Purim to get out of ourselves, to be able to break open all the things that hold us back, and those things that divide us from joy, so that separate us. So maybe we may be feeling joy, but we're not joy. To allow us to be that joy. And we're told that in the times of Mashiach, Purim is still going to be existing as a chag, but we're not going to need to drink anymore. We're going to be able to access that fully loosening of the boundaries and be able to access that full experience of joy just by connecting essence to essence. These days, sometimes we can use a little help. Maybe some of us are already in that stage. But if you can use the help, use it. It's Purim. There's a place for everything in life. And Purim is a time to let go of our inhibitions, to remove the blockages that prevent us from expressing our truest self. This is also why we dress in a costume or wear a mask, which sounds counterintuitive. It sounds like we're covering up. But sometimes in order to express our truest self, we have to put on a mask. You know, when a person is naked is when they feel the most vulnerable, right? when they feel the least able to be exposed, even though they're the most exposed. To be able to really show our truest self, sometimes we have to conceal to be able to reveal our innermost essence. And sometimes we need to put on a mask to conceal anything that's outside of ourselves that we use as an interface with the world, that we use as our usual masks, because we're always wearing a mask of some sort. We're always putting up some kind of an interface to connect with the world that is necessary to function as humans in society, but can also be a concealment of our truest self. So we put on a mask to mask our masks. And it's all upside down because it's Purim. And so it all makes sense. And if you don't understand it, just have another drink. It will all make sense. And I bless us all that we should really be able to access this tremendous high joy, not only on Purim, but every single day of the month of Adar. And our cup should runneth over with joy this month, that we should be able to carry it over into every moment of every day in the following coming year. And should all break through all the barriers so we can experience the truest joy of Mashiach and the ultimate realization of the purpose of all of creation. And now I'm going to close this up, and now we can ask questions. Yay. Can you just give me one moment? I'm coming right now. Please. You want some hot water?
No, it's my first time coming to this year, but I've been here a lot.
Which one?
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah, wonderful. She's so good.
Huh?
She's so good. Winston. Do you still work at the Organic Circle? You still work there?
I work from far for them now. I do a lot of projects from far. So I don't have to be
like
there
advertising type thing, or like
also lots of
cool. That's so cool. Nice. I still go. I still get them. Good. I still want to look into the drink situation, but I haven't. Cool.
Hi, how are you?
So happy to see you. Who's our friend here?
His name is Winston.
Did you just get him? Yeah. When they have a kiss, sometimes dogs get upset when you kiss the other. Hi, Lovey. When'd you get him? Oh, look how he loves you. You're such a nurturer, I see it. He's got to show chickens.
Алло,
Did
Салли?
we ever call you? I didn't mean to give out your son.
Мы договаривались на 650 Сакрит-стрит. Да.
I always forget. I would love to post a picture when we have the recording and everybody gets to have a little FOMO. We're not encouraging FOMO.